All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Simpson County Board of Education. I'm Jim Flynn, Superintendent. We appreciate those who are with us here tonight and those watching on television from home as we conduct the business of Simpson County Schools. I'd like to share a few announcements before we get our meeting started. First announcement is that we held the 48th annual Franklin Simpson Invitational Band Competition on Saturday, September 10th. The event brought in many bands and hundreds of supporters from the surrounding area. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Ragland, all the band boosters and our band members for putting this great event on and showcasing the talents of not only our band, but bands in this area. I want to wish our band good luck in the marching season. I know they had a good showing at their first two competitions just recently. And wish them the best as they get ready to compete for the regionals and state. Also want to give a shout out to our elementary schools. The month of September we celebrated our grandparents. There was several grandparent breakfasts at Simpson Elementary and Lincoln Elementary. And we had goodies with grandparents at Franklin Elementary. And I want to appreciate all the grandparents who came out to support our students, and we appreciate all they do for our kids in our schools, and we love it when they come and visit our schools. This past Tuesday was a high attendance day for schools across Kentucky, and attendance is a very important part of the habit that we're trying to build with our students, and so we emphasize it that day, but it's something that we emphasize quite honestly every single day of the school year, and we want all of our students to develop a habit of attending. We had almost 96% attendance that day, and Franklin Simpson Middle School led the district with over 97% at 97.09%. So well done there. We have parent-teacher conferences going on, in fact, right now, this evening, and we'll also have those continue tomorrow, Friday, September 25th, during the morning from 8 to about 11 at all of our schools. Encourage all parents to come and participate in parent-teacher conferences and find out how their child's doing. Of course, if you can't attend during these scheduled conference days, you can always contact your school and request a conference, and we'll schedule that with you so that you can stay in tune with how your child is doing at school. Also, just a reminder that there will be no school for our students tomorrow. We'll be doing parent-teacher conferences, and our kids will get a little long weekend to enjoy. It's going to be beautiful weather, it looks like. Got a huge football game tomorrow night here at Crowdis Field, so come out to James Shapetree Matthews Stadium, support our Wildcats as we take on South Warren. Ought to be a great game. We're looking forward to it. Our Wildcats are undefeated and ranked second in the state. I believe South Warren's ranked third in the state, so it's going to be a stellar matchup. So come out and support our Wildcats. We'd also like to give a shout out and a good luck wish to the 8 seniors competing in the Distinguished Young Woman of Simpson County Scholarship Program Saturday night, September 24th at 6:30 p.m. at the Goodnight Auditorium here in town. The participating students from Franklin Simpson High School are Autumn Turner, Kendra Shoulders, Kirsten Raines, Fallon Russell, Amy Turner, Ella Belcher, and Jaden McCutcheon. And then also we have one student who's a homeschool student, Maggie Holman, who is also participating in the event this year. I went to their dress rehearsal, last night, and they've worked extremely hard, and they're some amazing young ladies. So come out and support those girls as they showcase their talents this Saturday night. Also, Franklin Simpson High School seniors, again, the Kentucky School Boards Association is offering two $2,500 scholarships for eligible Kentucky high school seniors to attend any 2- or 4-year accredited college or university. These one-time non-renewable scholarships will be awarded to a male and a female student. Eligible students are those who would be the first members of their immediate families, parent, guardian, siblings, to complete degree requirements from an institution of higher education. And eligibility must be affirmed and signed by the high school guidance counselor and the school district's board chairperson and superintendent. We have a one-page application that must be completed and signed by the guidance counselor and received by the Simpson County Board of Education by Wednesday, October 12th, in order to be processed by the deadline outlined by KSBA. And you can find those applications at Franklin Simpson High School or here at the central office. The Simpson County Schools Exploratorium is in search of Legos. And so if you're willing to donate some Legos for our Exploratorium here on campus, please bring them to the central office. Our students would greatly appreciate it. And speaking of our Exploratorium, next Wednesday, September 28th, we're having a ribbon cutting for the Franklin Simpson Exploratorium at 1:30 p.m. And it's here on our main campus in the old bus garage. You'll be hearing a little bit more from one of our students at the high school who's working with our Exploratorium, but it's an amazing space where our kids can come in and do hands-on projects, use some high-tech equipment from time to time, make things and design things and be very creative. So we're really excited about this space, and we're already having a lot of things going on there. So please come out to our ribbon cutting and see more of it up close and personal. And finally, fall break is scheduled for the week of October 3rd. Students will get an extra day off due to the Learning Community Day scheduled for Monday, October 10th. This is a great opportunity for our staff and students to sharpen the saw and come back refreshed and ready to go. So we hope everyone has a safe and relaxing break. That concludes the announcements, and Mr. Webster is off at a KSBA event, I believe in Wolf Canyon, is that right? So tonight our chairmanship will go to Mr. Wes Stone, so we'll turn over to Mr. Stone.
First thing we need to do is call this meeting in order. The first item of business is to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries on. Next, we have the presentation of teaching learning, Franklin Simpson High School. Turn over to Mr. Slosher.
All right. I'm not going to talk very long. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tyler King. Tyler is a student at Franklin Simpson High School. He's been working, he's a teacher's aide and works over at the Exploratorium a couple of periods a day. He and another young man is going to come with him. Was on the academic team, and their match was moved to an away match, so he wasn't able to be here. So Tyler is ready to come and talk to you a little about one of the projects that he's done. So I'll turn it over to Tyler. Tyler, come over and tell him it was great.
Honestly, I'm not that great of a speaker, and you would much rather have Jacob Brown. Comparing a hoverboard to a engine that runs on hydrogen gas is quite impossible to do. And the Exploratorium does offer a lot of great opportunities. With a 3D printer, we can make drone parts, pretty much anything that we want to or need to. We have already used it to create kind of a ball that is inside a locking mechanism. Some teachers over at the math program also want to use it over some of the students in geometry, which would allow for great interaction. And with all the tools that have been provided to it and all the funding, it has allowed for not only this, it has allowed for many of Jacob's concepts to come alive. We have several other things that we want to create. One would be a trebuchet. We want to make that so that it runs on compressed air or some other mechanism that makes it easier for the user to navigate. The hoverboard is a fairly simple design with 8 9-inch holes cut from the bottom, or 9-inch from the center, rather, which allows it to create a cushion of air, which, well, pretty much makes a circle that would allow it to levitate off the ground slightly, reducing a major amount of friction. It doesn't work quite so well on carpet, but it does still work. Hardwood floors are best, and the level surface does provide the best performance.
How fast do you go?
Depends on how fast someone can pull it.
Well, I saw him demonstrated in the hallway of the Career Technical Center, and it moved remarkably well.
Dr.
So
Flynn, did you try?
I didn't, you know. I don't know if it could handle my mass, but, you know. Were you on it, do that video, or who was on it? Yeah.
Jake was on it, I was on it, Mr. Staggs didn't want to get on it.
He had the same issue I had. Yeah, we'll need to test that, but they were moving down the hallway pretty swiftly. It was pretty impressive, so.
Miss Fallon also tried it as well.
So, now, have you been over there when some of the kids have come over for some projects yet?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And it really is great.
Mhm.
Mr. Zach's always helps out with the teachers. He asks us to help with students. They want to have a robotics table right now. They have installed speakers and a pull-down screen. And they also want to make a virtual sandbox, which will allow kids to kind of play with it and see what changes in terrain, how they can affect the environment, etc. And they've also got a weather board, which allows some of the smaller kids to have fun.
That's the call for the Legos. I'll do a plug for that. So. And then I know you and I were talking the other day. You were telling me a little bit about your career interest, and can you share with the board and public about that?
I plan on studying actuarial science because it will give me the ability, at least I hope, to travel the world while I do it. After about 4 years, you can become a master of actuarial science in the workforce, and many employers will allow you to work from home. And I've read on forums, I've talked with some actuaries. They say that as long as you get the work done, they don't care.
I was thinking about you the other day because you told me about this, and I read about some of the best paying careers there are, and that one was listed. So good luck with that. So you're going to demonstrate the hoverboard for us?
Do you need me to help?
All right. Well, I thought Mr. Schlosser was going to get on.
Well, it's kind of simple design. You can understand as long as you're center and you don't push it in too much, that's kind of why we have it pants
Do you need help?
carcass. Well, that's not quite it.
You need to hold this down there?
Well, here, I'll center it, and do you mind if you pull me?
I'll
Just to kind of demonstrate the laugh.
Where do you want me to pull you?
Just another piece that we can mount it to here.
Yeah, that you could
attach it.
Yeah,
So that it won't
put it
be-
down in there. Yeah.
So that it also.
Yeah, this carpet's going to have extra friction on it, obviously, but you see the concept. It started moving. You look like a gal in that movie, you know.
Thank you.
I was also thinking about the Green Goblin.
Leave for the night, can you fix this for me?
All right.
That was great.
Well, thanks for coming and sharing this.
Thank you, Tyler.
Keep up good work over
Just leave that right there.
at the Exploratorium.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Good job, Tyler.
well, next is our visitor comments. Anybody wants to comment?
Yeah, we do have one visitor that wants to comment. Miss Emerton is here. She wasn't able to be at the last board meeting, but she's one of our doctoral scholarship recipients. And so she was able to come tonight, so we said, oh, well, come in and visitor comments and just give the board and public a quick update about her work at Morehead State University. And so give us a quick update, Jennifer.
Okay, well, first, I just want to say thank you. My family thanks you, and especially, most importantly, my students thank you for this opportunity that you have given me to not only further my professional development for myself, my students, but to give me just so many wonderful opportunities through this, I guess, in leadership. So I'm a little nervous. I didn't really prepare much. I did want to talk to you guys about kind of what I do. I started at Morehead over, I guess it was in the summer, so it's been a little over a year. Hopefully I will finish by next December, and then I'll graduate spring of 2018. I do a lot of professional development. Last year I presented at I presented at 16 different sessions throughout the state of Kentucky, and that's kind of my passion. In addition to my students, I love going out, meeting new teachers, finding out what they're doing in the classrooms, and kind of taking what I know, what I'm learning, and presenting at those different educational conferences across the state. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I was Morehead's 2016 Graduate Student of the Year for their doctorate program in the Educational Technology Leadership. I was also the overall graduate student of that college for the 2016 year. So I kind of got 2 awards. They recognized me in some of my research. I published a small book as part of a class, so I was really nervous about putting it out there. I've also been published with one of my professors, Dr. Curry. So I look forward to more publishing opportunities and basically just growing professionally and kind of putting myself out there and saying, hey, I'm in Simpson County and I'm here to learn as much as I can and bring back home, to us and our community. That's kind of it. If you have any questions for me, my main research has been in staff development, professional development, things like that. So, any questions? No?
Good job. Good
All right.
Thank you.
Next is our superintendent and staff reports.
Okay, well, to keep the board and the community up to date with various metrics and different kinds of things that are important to our school district, we have our reports. The first one is our attendance and dropout report. And Mr. Kilman's here if you have any questions about any of that. We also have our PBIS district goals. All of our schools are working on improving student behavior and climate culture through our PBIS work. And also Joey leads that out. If he's here, if you have any questions.
I do.
Yes, okay.
One question. Are we going, as we embark on this for the start of the year, are we going to have updates on how our behavioral interventions are working at the school level? Is that
Yeah,
something
I
that we
meet
can
with the
expect?
team leaders quarterly to monitor it. They meet with their teams monthly to monitor, so I'll be happy to give quarterly updates on, specifically on these goals. Typically what I give you is just overall data and not really, in relation to these goals, but I'll be happy to keep you abreast of where we are in relation to meeting our specific goals.
That would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We also have our drug testing report, which you all know we have a drug testing program for any student who's in a privileged activity, extracurricular, or drives and parks a vehicle on our property. And so Mr. Killer's here if you have any questions about that.
My only question was, how much do we spend on drug testing every year?
We'll have to get that figure, but for some reason I'm thinking it was around, what, $10,000 or $11,000 a year?
Does that include, that would include the employee? wouldn't it?
Well, that would probably be all of our employee pre-hire testing. Is that about right? For some reason, that's what's popping into my mind.
I feel like it was around $50 a test for the students, and we test. And I might be wrong. I'm afraid to say it. I don't think we're spending $10,000 on
For the student portion, that probably does include the employee portion too, but we can break that down and have it for you next meeting.
That would be great, thank you.
We also have our personnel report, and Millie's here, any questions there? Our out-of-district student trips, out-of-district staff and administrative travel. We have our daycare financial report, food service financial report, our monthly district athletic report,
Thank you, Amanda, for explaining it to me.
our monthly vendor report, our monthly reconciliation and construction reconciliation reports, our monthly visa charge report. We do have a review of our AP scores, trends, and data from 2016. Ms. Smith is here.
Really good. They looked really good.
Yeah, we were pleased with the overall progress there. So congratulations, Mr. Schlosser, and your team.
Yeah.
Awesome.
10% increase on the pass rate overall. And we're above the state average for the first time in a long time. And above the state average in 6 of the 9 areas, and all of them gone up.
Good job.
It was good.
It was fun to look at. Congratulations.
Well, and not only what's so great about that is our students qualify for college credit.
College credit.
So it.
Oh, I
it's-
know.
Yeah. So it's a win and on multiple levels, but well done, Mr.
Yes.
Schlosser. and your team. We have our review of the comprehensive district improvement plan with progress notes. And Dr. Kirshner's here. If you have any questions on that? We're well into it, aren't we, team, of implementing, so working hard. And then we have our Learning Community Day report from September 6th, and Dr. Kirshner also prepared that for us. And any questions there? And then we have our quarterly portal usage report, Mr. Kilburn.
And that looks like our parents are really starting to access it.
Yeah,
Like,
it
looking at the
does.
data correctly.
Yeah, and I was at a meeting last week, and Infinite Campus has a new report where it shows the likelihood of a student dropping out based on every piece of data they collect. And Infinite Campus, and it gives them a score from like 25 to 150. And if the student's below 75, they're in the danger zone. If they're above 125, they're probably not going to drop out. And then those, 76 to 124s are, you better keep an eye on them kind of thing. And they said one of the strongest pieces of data of because it's based on what happened, right? It's not like just plugging numbers into a spreadsheet and just assigning things an arbitrary score, but actually based on what happened with students and the data that's attached to them. But someone accessing their portal account is a strong indicator of a student that's not going to drop out. And one of the interesting things, the lowest score we had of any student at Franklin Simpson High School was 83, which means that nobody's in that high danger. There's some in that concern area. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think this is probably a big piece of it, is that we do a pretty good job getting our students and getting our parents, checking and paying attention to what's going on. And if somebody's concerned, then we're more likely to continue to make progress. So.
I just think it's great that parents have a tool that they can use when they have the time. Not necessarily, like if you can't go to a parent-teacher conference, you still have a portal and you can see what they're doing, if they're missing assignments. Because people work, odd hours and strange shifts. I think it's a great tool.
And one of the things that we try to promote is that there's a lot of different ways for parents to be involved. You don't actually have to be physically here at school to really be highly involved with the parent portal, using some social media tools. We have lots of teachers that are tweeting out what's going on in their classrooms. They're using the Remind applications. to tell what's going on at school, Facebook, all those kinds of things. So there's a lot of ways to be involved, and I for one can tell you, my daughter she's checking her own IC portal regularly to check her grades and make sure she's caught up and nothing's missing, and so you see a lot of students doing that, but it's a great tool. Joey, thanks for getting that together.
Yes, sir.
The last report is our annual notification. It's a new annual report on our data security. And one of the things that you all are aware of, because I shared it with the board as well, is in this day and age of digital information and big data, security has become a really important issue for us. And so Simpson County Schools takes this very seriously as a district, and we've reviewed the guidance for data security and breach notification and best practice guide, and have worked at implementing the best practices that meet the needs of personal information security. So we've put some information out to our teachers and staff members because really the biggest threat to data security is just our own, it's human error, like letting your password get out, or kids are seeing data that they shouldn't have access to. So we used a guide to top secret personal information and data breach awareness that we sent out to everyone with some really good information about how we can protect the data. But I just want to notify the board and the public that we take this very seriously, and we are working to bring awareness to this so that everyone's data is kept safe. If there is a data breach, there are certain guidelines that we'll follow, and we'll follow all those reporting, the investigation piece, to try to protect anyone that might be affected by that. But knock on wood, we don't have any of those to report, and we'll work to keep everyone's data safe. So, any questions about that? Well, that concludes the reports.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Next is to approve the agenda, the consent item, I'm sorry.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor? Passes. The next is the action items. They approve the 2016-2017 working budget to be submitted electronically to KDE Division of Finance. Need a motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
You have a copy of the working budget and the materials. I want to give a big shout out, thank you to Amanda, because after our tax hearing and the directive the board provided, she had to spend some time getting this thing updated, and appreciate Amanda doing that. And I'd like to kind of share with you some highlights and then answer any questions you might have.
I'm just gonna do a real big highlight there. Our total budget is $29.5 million. It's actually $29,541,158 and a penny, because Dr. Flynn says I will always chase down a penny.
She'll kill somebody for that.
Which is pretty consistent over the prior year. So a couple of the highlights you'll see, there's no budget for current year construction projects. Of course, we're finishing up HVAC and roofing, but those will always show in the year that the project comes aboard. So you don't see anything for this year. We will have a VG1 for updating to our bleachers. Once that's approved by the state and a formal budget set, and that will be added to our construction budget. The general fund beginning budget is $2.6 million, ending budget is $2.28 million. This, like Dr. Flynn said, reflects the 1% raises that will be retroactive to 7/1, and the 4% tax increase. There wasn't any other significant major changes to report since the tentative budget. Some adjustments in utilities and minor items like, on recurring expenses. And then on the contingency, you guys always like to know, 2% is required by the state. And of course, we usually strive for around 8% by the district. And that helped maintain our cash flow from July to November when we get our first tax property tax receipts. Right now, for the general fund, we're at 11.81%. Of course, we also have funds that don't show in the financials that are on the balance sheet for committed contingency and committed construction funds. They're also available on top of the amount that's shown in the general fund.
Good job.
Thank you, and thank you for working so hard
You're
on the salary information.
Any more questions? All those in favor? Next is to approve the salary increase of 1% for salary schedule. Discussion on this.
Okay, well, you have all of our salary schedules that have been updated to reflect the 1% increase. And so we're asking you to approve these as presented.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I just want to, again, reiterate what Heidi just said. Amanda, we do appreciate you. I know we ask a lot of you, and I know we put a lot of pressure on you, and I know that the faculty and staff appreciate you as well. And if nobody else says it, I want it on record today that you are appreciated, and thank you for your hard work.
And we'll have, Dr. Dillon will send out more communication to our staff after these salary schedules are submitted on when to expect and how to expect it.
Well, let's just go ahead and, we've had some, conversation I think I've shared with you all in one-on-one. But once you all approve these, our plan is then, we're going to pay out the difference between their current salary and this 1%, this year only, as a one-time lump sum payment on November 18th. It's a Friday.
Perfect time.
So
Just before Christmas.
everyone will get that 1% as a one-time payment, but it is reflected in the salary schedule. So when we start next year, it will just be into their salary. And so then their pay, then the rest of the year will be what they're accustomed to right now. And but anyone that's hired new
From September 16th, we'll just start
They'll
their
start with
payment with
the
the
new,
new. They
yeah.
won't get a lump sum payment.
And so that's basically how we're planning to do this. I think our staff will enjoy having that at that particular time. It'll be kind of leading up to Christmas, but they also get, it will be reflected like in their retirement and all those kinds of things. So they'll reap those benefits as well. And then it'll be their base for next year. And we'll see if we can do anything next year, but if we can, it would be on top of what we have already done. So that's kind of the plan going forward. And again, to echo the board's sentiment, Amanda and her team, I have to just say, it took a lot of people helping to do this, but she and Robin Clark in particular have made this happen and worked with KDE. And KDE's been good to work with us in terms of helping us through some of the complications. But anyway, we got it done, and we appreciate the board's efforts there to make this happen for our staff.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve maintenance on-call procedure and compensation.
Motion.
Discussion on this item.
Well, you have the proposal in your materials. I'll let Amanda just give you a quick description of what we're trying to do here and essentially trying to spread a little bit of the workload.
It's kind of come to our attention that there's kind of no relief for our maintenance cell phone for on call. And of course, if you take off, you would like to be able to, every once in a while, truly take off. So I called, of course, our city and then some other school districts and kind of gathered what their policies and procedures were. Basically, this is a $40 stipend, which basically, it's a little more than 2 hours pay to take the phone home. And then, of course, if they were to truly be called in, then we would have to pay them like we would any other time at their overtime rate. So basically, it's $40 a day to take the phone from 4 to when they get back to New St.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Request to improve increase to Franklin Simpson Middle School gifted and talented coordinator stipend.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion on this item?
You have a copy of the request in your materials, and they're asking to improve this stipend a bit to up the responsibilities, and they're going to pay for it with the school's gifted and talented funds. Dr. Kirschner will try to give you more detail if you have any questions.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Request to approve amended extended days for science resource teacher for the 2016-2017 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, we're requesting to add some days there for our science resource teacher who works with not only the exploratorium, but we'll be working with our science teachers. And one of the things that we're really excited about is doing some things to plan some Super Saturday events, some break camps like fall break, spring break, and summer break camps. And I think this provides a great opportunity to kind of prepare for those kinds of things. And so we're recommending that you approve these. This is just for 5 days to the contract for this position to do that. We're going to work on a plan for coming up for a way to fund maybe some ways to pay for those camps and that sort of thing. We're going to, I think, partner through community ed and maybe look for some sponsors. But Mr. Staggs will be instrumental in helping us implement those kinds of things.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is request to approve amend 2016-2017 extended employment days.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, the only change is what you just approved, so now you have the extended employment day list reflecting that change.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Y'all just been waiting for me to read this next one.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
Go for it.
David Webster would be proud. Approve creation of a 2-hour part-time custodial position for the Exploratorium Makerspace to be funded from the general fund.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
You did well.
Well, we moved our IT offices over there. This is our 3rd year over there, Amanda? For IT?
Second.
2nd year? Is it only 2nd year?
Runs together.
Second or 3rd year for IT, and then now we're opening the Exploratorium. We're having a lot more traffic, and so the cleaning needs are pretty evident, and so we're recommending this to help with taking care of, we're moving a lot more people through there now, and so this will help us keep that space clean and well maintained.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve creation of intervention paraeducator position at Lincoln Elementary to be funded by school ESS funds.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, you can see what they're wanting to do to provide some more focus to help their students, in reading and math, literacy and math. And this position will be used focused on math, and they're going to use their funding through their extended school services monies to provide these interventions. We can provide these kind of, on demand as needed, and so we're recommending that you all support their request and allow us to create this position through those funds for this purpose.
Will there be any interaction between the Lincoln interventionist and possibly the middle school? Will there be more opportunities for that?
There can be. We have plans for vertical teaming already built into our learning community days. Jenny, you want to?
This one,
Or Whitney.
focus areas in teaching and learning, we got time in November and time in March. We grab that time on everybody's calendar and then we'll fill in fill in the hours, that to work on vertical alignment, and some of our learning blocks that we're designing between schools are gonna be take teachers back and forth to different things. So that's one of our goals in our area this year.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approve creation of intervention paraeducator for the Franklin Simpson Middle School to be funded. I just read that, I knew I'd blow for my book. I was testing you. Anyway. Request to approve preschool partnership grant, tier 1 planning.
Second.
Oh, well, there's two of them. We have one for Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
So you were right on.
Oh, okay. I was testing you again.
We were testing
So we're
you.
gonna back up. Approve creation of intervention paraeducator at Franklin Simpson Middle School to be funded by district ESS funds.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
It's very similar to the one that Lincoln,
Except this is.
except the focus on this one is on reading. So they wanted to use these funds to provide some additional reading support for students at Franklin Simpson Middle to help, prepare them to transition to the high school and, be on benchmark there. And so we're recommending you all approve this request using those extended school services funds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Request to approve preschool partnership grant, tier 1 planning.
Motion. Good.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, you have the materials in the packet. We presented this before in terms of the, get the permission to move forward. Whitney and Rachel Fairman, Ms. Maxwell and Ms. Fairman have been working, kind of leading this work, so I'll let Whitney give you a quick update on what we're doing.
This first year, we're just applying to, it's up to $25,000 to actually go and visit some of the other districts to see what they're doing to get more students in and get them kindergarten ready. So the first year is more of just a planning year, and then the following year, we'll be able to apply for a tier 2, which is up to $125,000, where we can actually implement a teacher, implement some pairs and some services to be able to have these kids in and have them in-house and be able to utilize those funds to actually make a difference with the students. So the first year, we'll be visiting some districts, hopefully, and just getting some ideas and some different ways of how they're bringing more kids in. When you look at our data that we've put together as far as the Brigance, and the readiness part of all of it is we're just finding that any students that are receiving any type of early care are scoring much higher and more kindergarten ready than the students that are not receiving the, for instance, if they're at home with grandparents or just the ones that are coming straight from the home. So we want to try to get the kids in as early as possible and to try to get that early intervention, pre-kindergarten school type of activities in their hands. It's more of a high activity ready for them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Request for approval for extension to Roy Schweitzer military leave for the 2016-2017 school year.
Motion.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, you all know Mr. Swisher's been on leave for a number of years now with the military, and he's got an additional extension to his military service, and will be part of he's a chaplain in the military, and so he's going to be there through another full year, and so we're asking you to approve his leave extension, and it follows all the laws and guidelines relative to this as well. So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Request to approve proposed change order number 3 for BG 15-268 for roofing replacements at multiple locations.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
You'll have a copy of the change order request in the materials. There was some decking replacement and repair at Lincoln and at the middle school, and it's like just over $15,900, I believe.
I think this is the first change order that's been issued on this one.
So we're asking asking you to approve this fairly minor change order rather than the whole project. But you gotta have good decking for a good roof. And,
All those in favor? Motion passes. Approval initial BG application for Franklin Simpson High School football visitor bleachers demolition and replacement.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, I think everyone's on the same page that it's time to replace our visitor
Yes.
bleachers.
Yes.
We've gotten good service out of them, though, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So, since, we're 50-year-old bleachers, so, but it is time. They need to move on. And so we have a BG1. We worked with a state building inspector, and so we're taking guidance from him. But this project does require a BG1. We have an estimate on demolition of about $10,000 on it. Probably about $10,000 maybe site work, and we put in this BG1 the balance to take it to a total of $90,000 for the actual construction, including the demolition and site work, and then including a contingency of $10,000 for a $100,000 project. We don't think it's going to cost that. We've been doing some more work between the time we put this together and tonight. In fact, Amanda, you want to give a quick update on some of that?
Yeah, we've reached out and gotten some estimates on bleachers, and today we just got those back. It looks like bleachers with insulation, a rough estimate is around $50,000. And then of course, the demo is still gonna be between $7,500 to $10,000, probably around $10,000 of site work, and then we still have to move utilities, electrical, water. So I feel like it'll be under $80,000, but there's still a few unknowns, and so I would rather give you money back than come back and say that we need a little more. So, of course, anything that we don't spend will remain right back in the general fund.
And is this going to come from?
That should be the next
Okay, then we're going to use our committed
construction.
Okay.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approved contract with Franklin Simpson High School baseball boosters for the demolition.
Amen.
Well, you skipped a lot.
Well, I did.
Are you in a hurry?
Bridget putting some pressure on you.
She's taking them.
Yeah, it's good. Bridget, she keeps trying to pass me money. We approve the use commitment.
That's it.
Well, which one were we on?
And
Yeah, okay, approve initial BG application for Franklin Simpson High School football business.
No, N.
That's what I was saying. Approve the use of committee construction general funds to finance Franklin Simpson High School football visitor bleacher demolition and replacement.
motion.
Any discussion?
Easy for
So you have Amanda's memo that basically we have committed $757,980.64 of funds for future construction. And so to use those for this BG1 that we just approved, we need to uncommit about $100,000 to pay for this project. So we're asking your permission to uncommit those funds for this purpose.
Yes. Yes.
All those in favor? Approved contract with Franklin Simpson High School baseball boosters for the demolition and construction of a new concession press box in the baseball complex.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Well, as you stated, the boosters have approached us to replace the existing concession stand and press box at our baseball complex. And so they want to demolish that one and replace it with a new construction. They have the funding, they have a plan in place, and we met with the state building inspector, and he has agreed to allow that to be under a local project under the guidance of our local building inspector, local electrical inspector. As you all know, we always like to put everything in writing so that everyone's responsibilities are clear. And so Mark Thurman put this contract together that kind of delineates everyone's responsibilities. But we wanted to get the board to act on this so that we have that approved and everybody's on the same page as we go through this project.
When we bid it out, and we feel like there's plenty of money there
They,
to cover any.
Mr. Kilburn has verified they have plenty of funds. in
Their bank
fact,
provided.
And what's that?
Their bank provided a letter.
Yeah. So, Joey, you want to comment on anything else on the project or?
No, I'll answer any questions you guys have. I think it would be a good thing for us. You know, it'll allow some storage area. There's some stuff we're storing under those bleachers, and it's not a real good place, and it'll help there. You know, getting up and down in that press box is not real easy, and so I think that'll be better. So I think it's a good project, and I appreciate that the boosters are willing to help us out with this.
And they have some construction professionals that are helping with, you know, the design and preparing for this. I think Gary Sliger has been very involved, hasn't he?
Yes, and he's gonna be the manager of the project.
Yeah, and so they've got good drawings, and they'll be working with Joe Perry and Bob Matthews to make sure all the codes are met and everything's done to standard. So it should be a really good project.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved Lady Cats soccer booster proposal to construct fencing at soccer field.
Motion.
Discussion on this item.
Well, as you all know, we've been working with them for a little period of time here to kind of define the scope of the work and what they want to do. They do have the money to do it. They have a clear plan for what they want to do. It's a cost-effective plan that accomplishes what they want. We're good with this, and they're going to work with Mr. Kilburn and Mr. White on implementing it, and we're just asking the board to approve their request.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Request to approve purchase of 2 school buses using general fund. Any discussion on this item?
Well, as you all know, we have a bus replacement cycle that we are very disciplined to follow. And so this year we need 2 new buses for next year. These buses are a little over $90,000 a piece. So it's a pretty substantial investment, but we budgeted for it. And as you all know, we've also made a commitment to move away from KISTA financing to go ahead and pay cash for our buses. And over time, that'll save us some significant dollars in interest charges. And so we're recommending the purchase of these 2 buses. Nancy?
These buses aren't going to be hybrids, right? They're going to be regular
We
regular
only have
buses. We're
one
not.
hybrid bus.
We are.
No,
have one.
we only have one hybrid bus. We haven't purchased.
And we bought it through a
Okay.
grant.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, those aren't very good. are they?
Yeah.
No, that's cheap.
Huh?
Just checking.
We haven't always enjoyed our hybrid bus that much.
No, we're purchasing the real thing.
Okay. Just making
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now I'm taking bid on the last.
Any bids on it?
Second.
Motion to adjourn. Richard? Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
All those opposed?
All right, good job, Mr. Stone.
I did that on purpose, putting all those ones that are similar back to back.
I'm sorry.
He was a